like it ended and I was okay. I'm like, that was weird. Okay, so we are going to try this video again because the first time was extremely monotone and really lame, so I'm hoping I can get something better out of it this time. So today I'll be focusing on panic disorder, but first I have 2 updates, but they're short, so don't worry. Update number 1, I've chosen Monday and Friday as my uploading days, so the order of videos will likely be Friday then Monday just because of the way it worked out. And my second update is yesterday I managed to walk from the lake up to our cabin, which most people would probably consider it to be a short walk, but because I am recovering from 3 knee operations, I haven't really been able to walk very much or very properly. I walked all the way up with just a walking stick and my aunt who was there to support me, but I didn't use her arms or anything at all. It was just me and my walking stick, and I'm actually pretty proud of myself because I haven't been able to do that for 3 years, but I know that it's worth it. Panic disorders consist of several anxiety or panic attacks, obviously. So, an anxiety attack is an overwhelming fear that takes over your thoughts completely, at least in my words. It's a feeling that you cannot control it or escape, and it literally feels like you are going insane. It's a dreadful feeling. It feels like you're dying or having a heart attack because your heart is beating so fast. You can't breathe and you feel like you're choking, like your throat's all tight and your chest is tight. And then that often makes me more anxious because I'm like, oh my god, I can't breathe, I'm dying. Panic attacks tend to last a few minutes, but it can feel like hours because it's the most terrible feeling in the world, at least in my opinion. You don't feel like yourself, you're detached from your surroundings, and it's like an out-of-body experience. Tingling or numbness. Sometimes you get a high-pitched noise in your ear, the lights seem too bright and blurry, and spotted vision can lead to dizziness and fainting. I often felt the dizziness in my brain, and as a little kid I would call it flies in my head because that's what it feels like, if that makes any more sense. Again, with nausea, loss of appetite or refusal to eat, which basically happened to me that one weekend where my mom went out of town to a concert and I was staying home with my grandparents, and it can get to the point of throwing up or repetitive gagging, which I pretty much experienced for 3 days straight. Sorry if that's TMI, but honestly it was disgusting. You can also get waves of hot or cold, so hot or cold flashes, I guess what it's technically called. So with the flu when you feel freezing but you're actually boiling hot. You can also be intensely shaky, where you're pretty much vibrating. There's not always a reason for it, but it can also be caused by a phobia or a difficult situation you've experienced in your past. For me personally, that was knee operations, and my second operation was much worse because I already knew about the first, so I knew what I was afraid of and what to avoid, kind of, even though I couldn't avoid it because I have to recover. It was my biggest fear ever to have an operation and then have it not work, and that's exactly what happened. So I quickly lost faith in the doctors and myself, and I was still afraid that it would dislocate, which impacted my recovery, obviously, because I couldn't just go ahead with things because I was too scared, so it slowed it down a lot. My panic attacks mostly came from school in grades 7 and 8, but I've obviously had them at other times too. Anything knee-related causes it, especially with the thoughts before my operations, so between the ages of 13 to 16 when my knee problems and stuff were particularly bad. On to my grade 5 field trip story time. I don't know whether this is my first panic attack that I had, but it's the one that I remember the best, the earliest on, I suppose. So we were walking around while doing hands-on activities at different booths in a really big open room thingy, which I personally didn't like. The hands-on things as a very abnormal child. I'd much rather just do homework and be left alone, and I can say that that's literally still the same now. And it was the first field trip, I think, that my mom wasn't able to volunteer, so I was in a room with a lot of people that I didn't know, and I was very uncomfortable. And I think it began with my neck and my head heating up a lot, and I was sweating a lot, and I was not able to cool myself down. And then my ears tuned out to everything that was going on around me, and it just became all fuzzy. Even though we were supposed to be learning things and paying attention, which I always did, I still wasn't able to like focus or concentrate. TMI, but it's true. So my vision became spotty with black dots, and I got a really bad headache all of a sudden. My ears tuned out everything, and it was replaced with like a high-pitched ringing sound. And I think I told my friend who I was in the group with first that I didn't feel well, and then she told her grandma, who was the volunteer. Like, asking for help made it worse because I'm socially anxious too. So at that point I was like vibrating pretty much. And I ended up sitting down at whatever booth we were at with the lady who was in charge, and she gave me a bottle of warm water. And it's an interesting detail that I remember it was warm, but I think it was just because it's another thing that made it worse. Like, it didn't relieve any tension or anything. And everyone was standing around me, like concerned obviously, but watching me, and that made it even worse because, again, social anxiety. And someone went and told our teacher, I think, and then she just walked me out, like, of the building, and I was able to get some fresh air and calm down a little bit. And I don't remember what happened after that. I might have went home, or maybe I stayed with her for the rest of the day and took it easy. I was fine once I was outside, so, like, it ended. And I was okay. I'm like, that was weird. I was only like 9 or 10, so I didn't know how to deal with it. So that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned a little something, and I will see you Monday. Thank you for watching. Bye!